Good afternoon. My name is Steve Vagnini, and I'm the Monterey County president of the Monterey County chapter of Guitars Not Guns. And I just want to tell you a little bit about the history of Guitars Not Guns and then tell you a little bit about what we are. The Guitars Not Guns first started, about 15 years ago in San Jose, California by Ray and Louise Nelson. Now Ray was an old musician, and Louise, they became foster parents to a number of children in the San Jose area. And as Ray would be sitting around playing guitar, he noticed that the children responded really well to times when they'd play guitar. She started giving them lessons, and before you know it, they started what eventually became Guitars Not Guns. They became a nonprofit 501c in the year of 2000, and slowly they expanded and grew and started giving classes to different organizations throughout San Jose. And as the San Jose chapter began to grow, the next chapter was in Santa Cruz County. Now, about 10 years ago, Todd Kruper and myself and another lady who are involved with the West End Celebration, it's an art and music festival in Sand City, went to a concert because we wanted to see a band perform there that was doing a show. As it turned out, it was a benefit for the Guitars Not Guns. It was at the Golden State Theater in Monterey. Band's called the White Album Ensemble, a very good Beatles tribute band. Well, at the concert, we started talking to ourselves, what a great idea, what a great organization, Guitars Not Guns. So we contacted the chapter president of Santa Cruz. Next thing you know, they put us in touch with the California had a chapter president as well from the Contra Costa County, and they came down and we had a meeting which became the first meeting of the Monterey County chapter of Guitars Not Guns, and we met at Rancho Cielo Youth Campus in Salinas. Now, if you're not familiar with Rancho Cielo Youth Campus, it's a wonderful organization that was created by Judge Phillips, who's now a supervisor for Monterey County. And it's a facility where troubled children go and their education. Right now they have a lot of different programs. The Culinary Institute, they have a fishing program, they have a construction trade program, and they also they work in conjunction with the Monterey County Office of Education, where they can fulfill their academic requirements there as well. So what we did, we proposed to start a partnership with Rancho Cielo, and thus began the very first Guitars Not Guns class. I was back in 2005, I believe. The general principle behind Guitars Not Guns, as it says, is, now we're not anti-gun per se, but we don't think that guns are for children. And we want to give children an alternative to violence, and we want to give them, more than anything, also the gift of music. So Guitars Not Guns started a program, and the typical program, as it was spelled out to us, was that we give children 8 weeks, once a week we meet for an hour, typically with children that range from the age 8 to 18, and we give them once a week for 8 weeks, 1 hour of free guitar lessons. You know, what can you learn in 8 weeks? Not a lot, but we do teach them the basic rudiments of guitars. They learn how to play chords, they learn how to hold a guitar, and by the end of 8 weeks they can typically play 2 or 3 songs. And at the end of their 8 weeks, we have a very nice graduation ceremony where we give each student a certificate, a nice t-shirt for Guitars Not Guns with our logo, and the best thing of all, we give them a free guitar. A lot of our students go on to continue to a level 2 class, 3 class, and that was the first class started, as I said, in 2005 at Salinas at Rancho Cielo. And then suddenly the word got out. What better than free guitar lessons and free guitars? So before you know it, we started having classes and creating partnerships with a vast variety of nonprofits throughout Monterey County. And year after year, we continue to grow. And we created our next partnership, I believe, was with the Boys and Girls Club in Seaside. We started a class at the Marina Youth Center. We started a class at the Castroville Middle School. We started a class at King City High School. We started a class at Gonzales at their Fairview Middle School. We started a class created partnerships with Community Partnership for Youth in Seaside. So as you can see, we grew exponentially. And I believe in our first year, we had 70 students and gave away 70 guitars. Our second year went up to 110. Third year we were at 250. In the last 2 years we've exceeded 300 guitars. In 5 years, the Monterey County chapter of Guitars Not Guns has now donated over 1,000 guitars. Now, as I stated, this is a national organization, and I believe there's about 15 chapters throughout the country, about 6 or 7 or 8 in California, and we've got one in Georgia, we have one in Washington, D.C., all throughout the country. But to give you an idea how successful the chapter in Monterey County is, last year, the entire Guitars Not Guns throughout the whole United States donated about 700 guitars, and we donated about 310 or something. So we're a very vibrant organization. One thing we do also is we've had the opportunity to bring our children to various events where the children perform. It's become, as I mentioned early on, I'm very involved with the West End Celebration, which is a big art and music festival in Sand City. And in Sand City, every year, the last 5 years now, the children, we have as many children as possible, they come out and they perform on the main stage at the very beginning of the festival for about 15-20 minutes, and they play their songs that they've learned throughout the year. A couple years ago, not only did they get to do that, but part of our West End celebration is we have a live remote from K-Pig, Please Stand By, which is broadcast throughout the whole world. We had 5 or 6 children come inside a little studio in Sand City, and they performed, and what a thrill that was for them to know that they were playing music to the whole world. We've also had the opportunity to have our children play in Marina every year. And the interesting thing about the Marina class is that the students, instead of 8-week class now, they meet year-round, and currently we have 2 classes going on every Saturday in the city of Marina. And those classes are about an hour each. We have a beginning class and an advanced class. And now, a lot of the teachers or students who've been there for several years are now teaching other children. Same thing has happened in King City. So the teachers have been teaching children that then become teachers themselves and start mentoring young children. So not only do the children learn to play guitar, but they learn, first of all, that people care about them. They're willing to take time and spend time with them. And then they learn self-esteem. And then ultimately, as they grow as musicians, they become mentors themselves. So it's a great process. Going back, we have plenty of opportunities for the children to play. As I mentioned, at the Marina, at the library, we've got a performance coming up in April of this year. It's an annual performance at the Marina Library for 2 hours. We have students from all different chapters or all different organizations that we meet with. You know, as I talking right now, I think of other organizations, the Salvation Army, we have partnerships with them. We have a class now at the Steinbeck Library in Salinas, where there's a lady, Mary Lesher, who teaches there. And she teaches classes that not only do the children come in, but their family comes in, and they get to participate in the whole class. So that's a whole nother spin on Guitars Not Guns. But this year at First Night Monterey, we had a number of our students performing at First Night Monterey, and they had the opportunity to perform there. So it's a wonderful organization with plenty of opportunities for children to grow, to learn music, and to learn that there's something else to do than just hang out on the streets, you know, and there's so many great things that we provide in this community to children. As I said, Rancho, Cielo, and the Boys and Girls Club, and Community Partnership for Youth. All these different wonderful organizations provide different things to do. But as you know, not all children are into sports, not all children are into skateboarding, not all children are into academics, and it gives them yet another alternative of something to learn. And our specialty is music, and that's Guitars Not Guns. Now we do have, we try and put on a number of events throughout the year. I've got a big concert coming up this Saturday, which is a fundraiser for Guitars Not Guns, and that's just the sort of thing. When I said West End Celebration, that's a big event that we do annually. And one thing I need to stress too is that this is an organization that is 100% volunteer. None of our instructors get compensated. They don't even get reimbursed for their gasoline. Everybody donates all their time. All the staff time is donated. We all do this free. So when you think, well, gee, 300 guitars, that sounds like a lot of money. And well, the fact is that we don't pay our teachers, and we get good guitars. We give all the children the identical guitars, so they all feel that nobody's getting special treatment. And they all get identical guitars, and we get a very good rate from a company up in the Bay Area that gives us a very good discount on the guitars. And so with a budget of about $15,000 last year, we were able to provide services to 300 children, and at the end of the class donate them the guitars and give them a nice certificate and t-shirt. And you might ask, well, where do you come up with the $15,000? We get a few grants, a few grant applications. I'm constantly looking at grant applications. We're starting to get donations. We participated this year in, this will be our second year in the Monterey County Weekly Gives program, and we've been very fortunate to get a good response from that. So we've been getting a lot of donations from there. And probably our biggest fundraiser of the year is the West End Celebration, where we get a percentage of the wine sales. And every year we auction off a guitar signed by a famous musician. During the last 5 years, we have received guitars from Los Lobos, George Benson, Chris Gain, famous blues musician. Every year, I can't think of them all, but we get a guitar and we raffle that off. It generates a couple $1,000s. And probably one of the highlights for me and for many of the students that were able to participate about 4 years ago at the West End Celebration, Los Lobos, not only did they donate a guitar, but they came to Sand City and they did a free concert for everyone there. There's a band that gets paid a lot of money, and they played a free concert at the West End Celebration. But not only did they play the free concert, they came a couple hours early, and we brought them up into the Sand City Council chambers, where they met with 100 children that were brought from all over Monterey County. They brought a load of children from down South County. We had some children from Salinas, and all the children met in the council chambers. And they talked about growing up in the barrios in East LA, and they talked about how it was rough and how it was through the gift of music that they discovered that there was some alternative to the gang life, if you will. And they became, as you know, very successful musicians who've traveled throughout the world. So they all talked about their experiences, and of course the children asked a lot of questions, and after the question session, the band then came out and signed autographs for all the kids. It was just a wonderful experience, and you can imagine what the children took out of that experience. So that's the sort of opportunity that we're constantly trying to create for the children's. And another thing I might add, that when Los Lobos was talking, if you start playing guitar, some kids aren't naturals. They don't necessarily have a musical capacity, but they still might like music. So they said, well, if you're not a guitarist, there's so many other fields. There's so many other things that you can do in the field of music. And interestingly enough, one of our instructors is Brian Shaw, who was a road manager for Los Lobos for many years. And Brian grew up in Gonzales. And he wasn't the easiest kid to get along with. And he ultimately became a teacher. But what's really interesting, he became a teacher along with another man who was his teacher when he was a student, who turned his life around. That would be Jerry Willis, who was one of our great teachers from Gonzales that taught for many years. Jerry saw an article in the newspaper talking about Guitars Not Guns and said, this sounds like a wonderful organization. How do I get involved? So he became a teacher. So teachers are really the most important part of our organization. And more than anything, I don't have a problem getting money. I can go out there and get grants. I can get fundraising activities. I can raise the money to do things. What I need is instructors, what we need for Guitars Not Guns. We need people that are willing to spend a couple hours a week to work with kids. You don't have to be the best guitarist. You have to have the aptitude to work with children with patience and love and compassion and show the kids, give them the gift of music. And that's what we're really looking for. So if you're interested, you can Google us, Guitars Not Guns, and please become involved. And one thing I've also learned is the teachers that have become involved with Guitars Not Guns, they get just as much, if not more, out of the experience than the students do. They feel like they're part of the community, doing something to help the community, and it's a wonderful give and take. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today. And I hope if you have a child, or if you are a child and you want to learn guitar, how to play guitar, please contact us. Look at the internet, guitarsnotguns.org. We have a local blog as well, but we're easy to find. Most people know who we are. We're growing rapidly in Monterey County. So check us out, and we'd love to be to work with you. So thank you very much for your time, and look forward to hearing from you.